Thank you all for taking some time this evening or afternoon or morning, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Dylan George. I'm Associate Director of Admissions here at Hobart and Williams Smith. I primarily work with all of our incoming international students and students really from around the country. So really so happy to see so many faces on today's call. Um, and first and foremost, congratulations on your admission. We are all so happy to see you all here registered today and want to extend a big welcome and congratulations to everyone. We understand the admissions process as a whole can sometimes be a lot of work. So you should be very proud of yourself for kind of what you have already accomplished. But without further ado, I do want to turn it over to my awesome colleague, Jenna Terrell. Jenna is our Director for Residence Life and Housing, and a couple of housekeeping items. She will kind of give a general overview of our residence life here at HWS. And then if you do have questions throughout today's call, certainly feel free to put them in the chat function. That is open and we will kind of go through each question that is asked there in the chat. So if you do have any questions, drop them right in there and we'll manage that appropriately. We do ask that if you could keep yourself muted for the duration of today's call, we would appreciate it. We do have some time at the end for questions. So if you feel so brave to raise your hand, you're more than welcome to take yourself off mute. But until then, we ask that you all keep yourself on mute. But I will turn over to Jenna so she can kind of jump right in. But again, welcome in. So Jenna, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, everybody. Well, good evening here in Geneva. Hello, regardless of where you are located. As Dylan had said, my name is Jenna Terrell. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Director of Housing and Residence Life here at Hobart and Williams Smith. So I literally get to spend every day working with our students and their residential experience here at HWS, which we find to be an extremely valuable part of their experience as members of our community. So I am happy to spend the next few minutes giving my little spiel about what it means to reside here on campus as an HWS student, also walk through some of the things for students to do over the summer to prepare to come to campus. And then am happy, as Dylan had mentioned, to answer any questions that come up. I recognize that housing is such a big component of the students' lives here at HWS, so I want to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident and that you have all of your questions answered before you leave this call tonight. So here at Hobart and Williams Smith, we are a four-year residential campus, which means we guarantee your student on-campus housing all 4 years of their undergraduate degree here at HWS. We find that the residential experience is an integral part of what our students do on a daily basis. Our learning here on campus is not just about what happens in the classroom, but all of those opportunities outside of the classroom as well, connecting and getting to know their roommate, spending time in their residence hall, and programming and studying and learning along with their floor mates, as well as the fact that given the size of our campus, you literally can wake up, brush your teeth, and be in class in less than 10 minutes, regardless of where you are on campus. So it really is a really full-bodied experience here for our students. So here at HWS, to focus a little bit on our first year residential experience on campus. So all of our first year students reside in a handful of buildings that are specifically designated for first year students. So everybody else who lives on the floor and lives in that particular area are also first year students. So they're all going through the same experience together. So their roommate is also a first-year student. Everyone living down the hall is a first-year student, so they can kind of go through and learn the ropes of what it means to be a college student, along with all of the new friends that they're going to make on the floor. Across our campus, first-year students reside in Jackson, Potter, and Reese, which you may hear some of our students reference as the mega dorm. It is 3 buildings that all look identical that are connected by stairwells and hallways where a large portion of our first-year students live. We also have first-year students residing in Sherrill Hall, which is right next to JPR, Durfee Hall, and Hershon Hall. To give you a little bit of insight and a breakdown of what some of these different buildings have to offer is we like to offer our students the opportunity to pick and reside in the type of community that they are most excited and most comfortable to live in. What I mean by that is some of our buildings are set up to be all gender in the fact that the roommate that they have will have the same gender identity as them, but they could share the building or share the floor with students of other gender identities. We also have a single gender residence hall for male identifying and for female identifying. So the students for their first year and beyond can pick what sort of residential community that they're looking to reside in. Jackson, Potter, and Reese are all gender on each floor because there are multiple bathrooms on each floor. Sherrill is gender by floor because there's one singular communal bathroom on the floor. Durfee is our male identifying building specifically, and then Hershon is our female identifying building specifically. If a student is interested in participating in a living learning community, that might be a buzzword that you've heard of already. We reference them as LLCs, is what living learning communities stand for. Living learning communities are a handful of FSEMs or first year seminar courses where the faculty member actually comes to the building and teaches right there on the floor where the students live. So the students live down the hall, wake up, brush their teeth, walk down the hall, and meet with their faculty member right there where they live. They live on a floor with other students in that same FSEM, so they already have built-in study buddies. The classrooms are for teaching during the day, and then they transform to a study and hangout space in the evenings. If that is of interest for a student, one of the things that you will do over the summer is you will be asked to rank first year seminar courses based on your interest in learning and taking part in those different FSEM opportunities. On that portal where you must select and rank your first year seminar courses, the LLCs are actually marked specifically to let you know that those particular courses participate in this academic learning right there in the classroom on the floor. So if a student is really interested in that opportunity, I highly recommend that you rank LLC first year seminars at the top of your ranking, because we strive to assign you to an FSEM that you're really interested in, and we want to make sure that the students living in the LLCs really want to be there. If you are sitting here and you are like, Jenna, absolutely not, I do not want to take class right on that floor, that's okay. I recommend taking a look at all of the FSEMs that don't have an LLC component and select and rank those instead. Lots of our students live in LLCs, but a lot of our students also don't, and they still get a great community experience in their residence hall. So one of the priorities that our students must do over the summer there are a plethora of things they need to do to prepare to arrive to HWS, but specifically on this call, one thing that they must do is complete their new student housing application. That new student housing application comes up on their to-do list that they have received with a link letting you know how to log into your My Housing portal and complete your new student housing application. What's really cool is after you complete your new student housing application, you go back to your to-do list and you'll see a little checkbox to know completed that, move on to the next thing. I recommend spending a little bit of time completing that new student housing application and really thinking through the questions that we have on there, because we heavily rely on your responses to those questions to help us assign you to housing. So on there are questions related to if your preference is an all gender space, such as JPR or Cheryl, or if your preference is a single gender space like Durfee or Hershon, if you have a preference related to different things that your roommate might participate in. It asks you questions about if you're a morning person or a night person, how you plan to utilize your room. Do you plan to utilize it mostly for studying or mostly for hanging out? So really think through your responses to those questions, because it will help us assign you a roommate or help you possibly find your own roommate. Once you complete your new student housing application, you can actually remain in the My Housing system and search for and request a roommate right in the system by highlighting some responses to those questions that you're interested in having a roommate also have, and then connecting with them to see if you're a good fit. So if you know that you are going to get up early every day to go to the gym, and you know that you're going to do all of your studying likely in the library, and you want your room to be more of a hangout space, you can filter other submissions from students by those responses and reach out to those students who have similar values, interests, etc. with you. If you do not have to find a roommate ahead of time, you are welcome to let the chips fall where they may, so to speak, and allow us to assign you a roommate. What we will do is we will utilize your responses to those questions and match you up as best as possible, given those responses and given the responses of others. I would say about half of our students select their own roommate, and the other half let the chips fall where they may and allow us to select the roommate for them. So you're not in the minority for choosing either direction. What will happen is we will assign you your housing for your first year. So we will utilize the information from your application. We will identify if you are assigned to an LLC FSEM or not. We will see if you have a matched roommate or not, and we will take all of that information and assign you to a housing assignment for your first year. Announcements about your housing assignments go out in about mid-July, giving you about a month's worth of time to connect with your roommate, get to know each other before you even step foot on campus. All of that information will be shared with you via your HWS email account, where you'll be able to see what building you're in, what room number you're assigned, and what your roommate's name is, so you can reach out to them and start connecting. If we have any athletes on the call, I often get a question about athletic roommates, recognizing that there is an additional community and connection opportunity to reside with another athlete who may have a very similar schedule to you, maybe a teammate, etc. If you are coming to HWS as an athlete and that is a priority for you for your housing, I recommend reaching out to your coach directly. They are fantastic in knowing the rest of the players on your team and making suggestions and help create roommate groups from there. If you're also looking for help on identifying a roommate, you are welcome to reach out to my office as well. Before we leave this call, I'll drop some contact information in the chat for you. At the end of the new student housing application, there is an open-ended question that pretty much is a catch-all that says, is there anything else that would be helpful for us to know as we are managing your housing assignment? That is your place to feel free that if there is anything additional you think would be helpful for us to know as we're trying to assign you a roommate, or that is important for your experience here at HWS, please feel free to submit it there. We read every single application. We will do the best that we can to reach out and make sure that whatever is in there is accommodated as best as possible. We wholeheartedly believe in the value of having a roommate, especially for your first year here at HWS. So students should anticipate that they will be assigned a roommate for their first year. There is something to be said about knowing that at that first day of college, when you have moved in and your parent or your guardian or your friends are leaving campus, to know that you have a built-in person there in your room to help navigate this new scary world together. And so you should anticipate that there will be a roommate assignment for you, whether you identify it yourself or we identify it for you. Now, caveat. We do recognize that every student has their own story and may have some disabilities that impact their ability to be successful here at HWS. And we want to ensure that if that is the case for any of you, that that is supported as well. So if you are sitting on this call thinking that you need to guarantee that you have first floor or elevator access, or you know that you need to have access to a kitchen or some sort of non-academic accommodation of that sort, that is what we call them here at HWS. There is a non-academic accommodation committee that has a process for students who may need disability-related accommodations to ensure that we have them on file and are managed before you get here. The deadline to, thank you, Dylan. Dylan has just submitted the link if that is something that you're interested in, to take a look at the requirements for submitting a request for a non-academic accommodation. Please note that the deadline for that is July 1. That deadline is to ensure that documentation is reviewed fully before we finalize housing assignments to ensure that your accommodations are identified and managed before you step foot on campus. Once a student has been here for their first year, they are now in the driver's seat to select housing for the remainder of their sophomore, junior, and senior year here at HWS. We're actually in the home stretch of the final steps of our housing selection process for our upperclassmen as we speak. It's been a whirlwind. It's been really exciting. And so we actually here at HWS have over 40 different buildings that our students reside in. We have traditional residence halls, like the one that you will live in as a first-year student. You can continue to live in traditional residence halls as you go through your 4 years in your HWS career. We also have suite-style housing. We have Greek housing if students are interested in rushing fraternities or a sorority. We have townhouses that we call the Odell's Pond townhouses, that gives students a little bit more of an independent feel to their on-campus housing. And we also have over 20 small houses on campus that we call theme houses. Each of these theme houses have a particular theme that was student selected that everybody residing in that house is interested in. They host events and meetings and discussions surrounding the theme related to the house. And then students are living in a house around people with similar interests. Currently, some of the houses are more academic based, some of them are more identity based, and some of them are more fun and wellness based. This upcoming year, we have a wellness and recreation house. We have an honors house, a leadership house, a mental wellness house, a couple of houses with religious identities to them. So the students really do, once they hit their sophomore year, get to be in the driver's seat and pick the type of housing community that they're interested in. The last thing that I want to share before we open it up to questions, couple of things. So meal plans, every first year student on our campus will be on our Finger Lakes meal plan, which is unlimited Saga Swipes, which is our main dining hall on campus that has a multitude of different stations and buffet style to eat from. And then it also has snack money on it that can be used across other places on campus, where we have our cafe, ABP, which is a coffee shop. Awesome. Thank you, Dylan. And so you have unlimited Saga Swipes, and then you also have snack money. With those unlimited Saga Swipes, some of your best friends that you meet is waiting for grilled cheese or chicken patties, which are the students' favorite, if you didn't know. And so being able to know that you can walk into the dining hall at any time, swipe, and eat and enjoy and hang out with your friends is fantastic. Dylan had shares with everybody the list of our different meal plans that we have available after your first year, heading into your sophomore, junior, and senior year. Depending on where you live, you have access to a multitude of meal plans. One other thing that we provide our students when they are here is that we have community assistants in all of our traditional residence halls. We call them CAs. You may have heard them called RAs, depending on other schools that people attend. These are upperclassmen students that are trained and are interested in helping our students who live in residence. They are knowledgeable, full of resources, provide programming, help you connect to faculty, staff, other students, you name it. Our community assistants are awesome, and they are one of the first people that you and your students will meet on move-in day, with their fancy t-shirts on and smiles on their faces to welcome you to campus. So you know that they're in good hands when you leave. No stupid question for the CAs will go unanswered. They are excited to have your students here with us. And there are also CAs in some of our upperclassmen halls, but especially our CAs in our first year halls are top notch. Dylan, I am happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Jenna. I'll give you a moment to take a drink of water, take a quick break, but super insightful. Certainly appreciate kind of the general overview, but I've dropped a couple of links in the chat feature, so certainly feel free to take a look there. Open those for later after today's webinar. We do have a question here in the chat, more so focused on first year students. So the question here is, can first year students get suite housing? And what does that kind of look like?
So we do have a couple of suites set up in JPR and in Durfee. What these rooms are is it is 2 or 3 double rooms with an unfurnished common space that students often will bring their desks into or bring in a futon to kind of make that space their own. The rooms are the double rooms are the same size as a traditional double, but they're located at the end of the hall. If living in a suite is of interest to you, highly recommend putting in that last question on your new student housing application that is your preference to live in that suite style. We'll accommodate that as best as we can.
Awesome. And we had a question earlier, but for those who you're all admitted on today's call, so you're a new student onboarding portal. We'll have that housing preference form on there. So be sure to take a look at that and submit that, whenever you have the time to kind of sit down and think about your options. Another question here in the chat, Jenna, is on the single gender floors, how many folks typically will share the bathroom?
So on the single gender floors, you have between um 20 to 30-ish students residing on those floors. The communal bathrooms in our traditional residence halls are multi-stall for toilets, showers, and sinks, varying from 4 to 5 in those bathrooms. Have never heard a student complain on those floors that they can't shower when they want to, or that they're unable to utilize a commode if it's necessary. Um, so I would say there's 4 to 5 for approximately 30 students to utilize. One of my favorite things to share, I loved living on campus in a building that had communal bathrooms because I never had to clean it. Our bathrooms are cleaned on campus daily, including the weekends. Um, so that way your student doesn't need to purchase a bunch of cleaning products to clean the bathroom.
Yeah, good point.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful thing.
I
Kind
hate
of
cleaning my
going,
bathroom now. I wish I had a communal bathroom.
I do too. It's my least favorite chore. Um, Kind of going on the theme of purchasing things and kind of what to expect. These are some exciting times when you're thinking about purchasing things you might need for college. So, in terms of like furniture or what might come inside the room, can you talk about what every single room includes so that it might help our folks on today's call with their shopping lists?
Absolutely. Um, Dylan, if you could look while I answer this question, there is a what to bring list available on the website as well. So every student here on campus is provided with a bed frame and mattress, desk, desk chair, a dresser, and a wardrobe or closet. Depending on the room, you may have a wardrobe or a closet, but every student is given one of each of those items. The bed will either be a twin or twin XL. My recommendation is to purchase twin XL bed sheets. That way, those bed sheets can continue to be used all 4 years, and you can guarantee that they're going to fit the mattress regardless of what size bed is in your room. If you are on this call and you are extremely tall, we have some folks who come that are well above 6 feet. When we get closer to the start of the semester, you're welcome to contact housing and let us know that you are a giant. And we will make sure that there is a twin XL bed in your room too, so you can sleep as comfortably as possible. Dylan is finding for you a link on, there it is. That gives you a pretty brief list of what we suggest you pack and what we suggest you leave at home. Once roommates and room assignments are announced in mid-July, housing will also send you an email with another list. So that way you can use it as kind of a checklist to make sure you have all of the necessities before you come. If you ask a student the one thing that they suggest that you bring, they're gonna tell you pictures. So many of our students put pictures up on their walls or on their desk because it helps make home away from home feel like that here at HWS.
Yeah. I'm also going to put a link here in the chat. It's just our general like housing resources for students page. But on there, it'll give you some information about like work orders. It'll give you information about cable in the residence halls, things like that. So I put that in there as just another helpful resource. Um, Another question is more about the comfort in the rooms. So we have a question here that asks a little bit about are the residence halls air conditioned? Can you talk a little bit about like air conditioning and heating and things like that inside of all the res halls?
Um, so HWS just celebrated its bicentennial, so unfortunately our buildings, some of them are fairly old. All of our first year buildings do not have central air. There are some of our upperclassmen buildings that do. Um, it's really only hot here for about the first 3 weeks and the last 3 weeks of the semester. And so one of the things that you'll see on that suggested list to bring is a box fan or a standing fan. If you are in need of air conditioning from a medical or disability related reason, on that website or on the disability services website is also a link. If you need an air conditioner, you can submit an accommodation request. Students who are approved for that accommodation are required to bring their own air conditioner, but then our B&G folks will install it for you, which is also awesome. In terms of heat, you will not be cold in these buildings in the winter. We're used to snow and we're used to cold, and so our heat works really well. And it is monitored every day by B&G to ensure that the buildings remain heated and comfortable for our students.
Great. Thank you. And you know, as you're shopping and things like that, you're more than welcome to purchase a nice cozy blanket to remind you of home if that's something you need. All right. We do have a kind of a one-off question, but just as more of
Absolutely.
a coming back to more of like a housekeeping for those who have joined late, just to reassure you, these sessions are all recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel. So you can certainly find the recording of this later this week. So just so you know. All right. As of right now, we'll leave the chat open for a few more minutes. You'll hear this constantly as you're kind of thinking about your next steps to HWS. But we want to be sure that you know all of your kind of questions are answered. So there are no silly questions, we promise. I can attest to the fact that when I was looking at colleges and universities, I was the one in these sorts of sessions and orientation that was asking the questions that maybe my friends hated me for, but that's okay. So there are no silly questions. So if you do have any, certainly feel free to drop those in the chat feature.
If any of you on this call are coming to Admitted Student Day on Saturday, I will be there for the 11:30 tabling session. You'll see a housing and residence life table. I am happy to ask any specific one-off questions, and I'd love to meet all of you who might be coming. And so there's that opportunity. While sitting here and thinking, one question that usually comes up on these calls that I know is technically not housing related, but I'm often asked about vehicles and parking. First year students are approved to have a vehicle. There are particular parking lots across campus that are designated for first year students, upperclassmen students, depending on where you live. When you pick up your parking pass, campus safety will inform you of where those different locations are. You are required to have a parking pass with your vehicle, and you do all of that directly through the campus safety office when you arrive to campus for move-in.
Yeah.
You also don't
Um,
need to have a car. I'll tell you that too. Parents, don't let your child bully you into telling you that they absolutely need a vehicle. If they don't have one, somebody else that they have befriended does. And we have a Wegmans, which is our local grocery store. If you've never been to a Wegmans, people around here think it's the greatest place on earth.
it
Um,
is.
Wegmans is within walking distance of campus, should push come to shove.
Yeah. We do have a question in the chat, and I know Jenna just mentioned Admitted Student Day, which we have starting our third out of four Admitted Student Days is this weekend. So we're really excited to welcome. It's almost 400 folks, which is going to be amazing. So a question in the chat is asked. For anyone that is visiting campus, will students have the opportunity to see or tour a dorm?
So at the, so if you come to campus for a regular admissions visit, part of that is a tour, and on the regular daily tour that the wonderful admissions tour guides conduct, there is one room that you will see designated on that tour. It's technically in a building that you would be able to reside in starting your sophomore year, but it's a really great opportunity to see one of the multitude of locations. Something else that admissions has signed up for you for Admitted Student Day is that you have the option to select to do a residence hall only tour that lets you see 4 or 5 different residence halls, usually including a room in JPR, that mega dorm that I told you about, one of our traditional upperclassmen halls, and one of the theme houses. So it will give you a pretty wide depth and breadth of not just the type of housing you may live in your first year, but also opportunities for your sophomore year and beyond.
Yeah. And the link that I had sent earlier that has the residential neighborhoods, if you visit that website, you can actually go into each individual building, and some have some videos that some students recorded on YouTube where they kind of take you into their spaces. And there's some photos as well. So definitely recommend checking that out. All right. Well, Jenna, I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat.
Oh,
One just
there's
came
one.
in. Yeah. So do freshmen get assigned per seminar? Maybe that is in reference to like, do students get assigned a roommate, or maybe do they change residence hall locations?
So if you're talking about their first year seminar, as mentioned earlier, I believe that question may have come from somebody who came in late. Welcome, hello. Um, First year seminar courses do impact room assignments. Reminder, as you're looking at FSEMs or first year seminars, there are the LLC Living Learning Community ones where your classroom is right there on the floor, or there are non-LLC ones. Those who are selected into the LLCs are designated and will reside on the same floor as the LLC. For those not selected into an LLC, we will assign you based on roommate matching and other questions that you've answered, such as your preference for all gender or single gender housing.
Perfect. All right. Well, I want to take a moment and say thank you to Jenna. You were super insightful and always so approachable to our incoming students. If you are attending Admitted Student Day this weekend, Jenna will be on campus at our expo fair, so you can ask any and all questions to her in person. We do have one last Admitted Student Day coming up at the end of April, April 26th. So if that is of interest to coming to campus to see everything in person, we certainly encourage you to sign up to do so. But again, thank you all for your time and your patience with our technical difficulties at the start of today's webinar. But certainly appreciate you staying on, and we hope that this was insightful. We hope to welcome you all to campus this coming August to start your time with us here at HWS. So thank you all. We appreciate it. Take care.